You're watching Saints Now by Chat Sports or Seahawks Today, depending on what channel you're watching this. My name is Trizzy Girouard, and I am the host of our Saints channel here at Chat Sports. For this video, we've been seeing a lot of comments suggesting some collaborative and some crossover content. So last week, I had a conversation with 49ers Report host Chase Sr., and y'all really enjoyed it. So for this week, I wanted to dive into a conversation for our Week 3 matchup against the Seattle Seahawks. Got my guy Will Ortner, our expert on the Seahawks, here at Chat Sports to come onto the show. We're going to have a conversation, tell you what you need to know about this matchup, players to watch, keys to victory, injury news, and everything else in between. Be sure to hit the thumbs up icon in whichever channel you're watching, subscribe, so that way you can tune into the watch party on Sunday. Will Ortner, thank you for joining us here on the channel. I want to hear from you. How are you feeling about this matchup? Do you think that this is an easy win considering the national media, the national narrative around the New Orleans Saints, worst team in football? I disagree. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I disagree too. I don't think that the New Orleans Saints are the worst team in football. It's clear to me that you guys have not quit. When you have a type of leader like you have at your head coach, Prosser Washington's finest, Kellen Moore, I feel like that's a group that's going to continually fight and try and push forward. Hey, I know the record isn't what you want it to be right now, but I'll tell you, as a Seattle Seahawks fan, we thought the same thing going into the New York Giants game last year. Look how that turned out for us. That's the game and the reason why we didn't end up making the playoffs. I'm not taking you guys light at all.
Yeah, so with this Seattle Seahawks team, obviously, familiar face to Saints fans, Klint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator in Seattle. He has Sam Darnold at his disposal at the quarterback position. You obviously have Jalen Milroe as the recent draft pick out of Alabama. What are some things about the offense? What are the highlights? Who are the star players that Saints fans need to kind of keep their eyes peeled?
Well, I tell you, don't look for any of the stars. I think that you should go into this game just overlooking Seattle. There's no reason to dive into who our running back is. You don't need to look at Kenneth Walker's stats against Pittsburgh. He didn't run for 8 yards in average in the second half. He didn't run for 9 yards on average, almost 10. Charles Cross wasn't road grading, wasn't opening holes up at that left tackle. Definitely don't take a look at our first-round draft pick, Gray Zabel, our left guard, North Dakota State's finest. The Bison have been just completely building strong offensive linemen. I would say that Gray Zabel hasn't been that, as he's graded out as one of the top PFF rookies. I would definitely not say. Remember, Sam Darnold, he saw ghosts. He definitely hasn't fixed that issue in his life. He hasn't completely changed into being a really good quarterback like he did last year in Minnesota. I would definitely tell you not to look at our defensive line right now and what Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams have been doing. You're getting basically 7 to 8 pressures every single game for the Seahawks. I wouldn't tell you to be worried about that. I wouldn't tell you that our defense has 4 interceptions already on the year, because you don't need to worry about that. Spencer Rattler doesn't throw interceptions. He hasn't thrown one all year. Why would he start now? So I would tell you that there's no reason to dive into, the film study, what's happening with the Seahawks. I would say that you guys should just show up and expect the win already handed to yourselves.
I mean, obviously that would be a really nice situation for New Orleans to be in, but I mean, you did bring up a good point. The Seahawks, they force a lot of turnovers. The New Orleans Saints thus far have been a team that have done a good job of protecting the football. Obviously, Saints fans, we saw that really unfortunate fumble that Alvin Kamara had. Fred Warner punched the ball out on a pass that was behind him, caught it on his helmet. It was a whole ordeal. Long story short, they protected the football fairly well. So I think for the New Orleans Saints, you bring up the point that they force a lot of turnovers. If I'm a Saints fan, I immediately take that into consideration and say, how can we protect the football better? How do we give Spencer Rattler opportunities to not put the ball in harm's way? Can we give Alvin Kamara the opportunity to have the ball and not have it on his helmet where it's an easy punch out for any insert Seahawks linebacker, because that anybody can make that play, quite frankly. Now, I know JSN has been a guy who's been really, really impressive. Sam Darnold right now 15th in the league in passing yards. He's done a good job in terms of having an efficient play style of football, 67.9 completion percentage. He's a guy that obviously has had ups, he's had downs. What's kind of been the overall takeaways with Sam Darnold from the Seahawks side of things?
I would say that when Klint Kubiak calls a game that you want him to call, the reason why you hired him, right, was, hey, come in, create an offense where it's built on running the football first. That was the issue last year at OC with Ryan Grubb. You were chucking it around. You were running basically an air raid system in the NFL. I don't know if you know this, Trace. doesn't really work out so well for you when all you do is pass the football. Teams can be prepared for what you've got going on. And I think you saw Seattle kind of fall into some bad old mistakes, bad old issues in that game against the 49ers because they just went right into throwing the football and relying on Darnold. Now, I think Darnold did a good job of, hey, this is what the defense giving me. I'm going to take advantage of that. But that's not what this team is supposed to be. You are supposed to be a team that's built off running the football. You are supposed to be built on a team, much like when Kubiak was in New Orleans with Alvin Kamara. You have a running back in Kenneth Walker that can be a star. I've been on the table banging for Zach Charbonnet to get more carries, get more touches, and I still believe in that. But that's okay because now you've got more of your thunder, then you've got your lightning. I think, in my eyes, you are going to see the best version of Sam Darnold if you run the football effectively, very similar to what it was when Kubiak was in New Orleans.
Yeah, and you mentioned Zach Charbonnet getting more opportunities. You want to see him be more present and prevalent in the Seahawks offense. I noticed that he was on the injury report with a foot injury, did not participate on Wednesday's practice. For transparency's sakes, we're filming this Thursday morning, so the injury report we're going off of is the Wednesday injury report, but Charbonnet did not participate. Does that raise any concerns for the 12s?
I'll tell you right now, I'm not concerned, and here's my galaxy brain take on it. If I should have been concerned, I would have known beforehand. Mike McDonald came on the Brock and Salk show like he does every single Monday and said, hey, the injury report, it's not bad at all. And then afterwards, he had a press conference a couple hours later once more guys got in and were, seen by trainers. And then he said, well, okay, there's a couple more guys on it, but didn't go and list anybody in particular. You would think that a head coach would talk about a major injury to a key player in a key position. So in my eyes and in my brain, well, if Mike McDonald isn't going to say, hey, we should be worried about where Zach Charbonnet is, I'm not going to be worried about it either. Sometimes when you're a veteran in the NFL and you play a position where, frankly, you bang a lot, you need to have an extra day off here or there. I had to have extra days off when I was playing football at Central Washington. It would not shock me if Charbonnet, who got beat up a lot in that Pittsburgh Steelers game, needed an extra day, and that's okay. So in my eyes, when I look at this, I'm not too worried about where Charbonnet is as a whole. I think he'll be ready to go, and I think you're going to see a similar workload. In the 49ers game, it was about 50-50 split running the football. In the Pittsburgh Steelers game, it was about 50-50 split between him and Kenneth Walker on running the football. So I would expect to see much more of that, maybe a 60-40 more towards Kenneth Walker's side if there is, lingering foot issues.
Yeah, now, you've obviously have Mike McDonald as the head coach, defensive mind, Klint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator. I think it's a nice coaching staff kind of developing in Seattle. Similar to New Orleans, I think both teams have started to put together a pretty nice staff. Now, for Seattle, considering that the head coach is the defensive mind, do you think that the defense for Seattle has been a strength, or do you think the offense has been carrying the team more so, or do you think it's kind of been a good example of complementary football? Because for those of you who don't know, on the Seahawks side of things, the New Orleans Saints, they've been playing good defense at times, good offense at times, but it has not been complementary. We've seen a lot of instances where the New Orleans Saints defense finds themselves on third and beyond the sticks, an easy opportunity and an advantage to get off the field where you can put your offense on the field, try to go score points, try to kill the momentum that the opposing team is creating, but oftentimes it's uncomplimentary football. And we see the offense get on the field and go 3 and out after you force a turnover. Or we see the offense go and score points, but then the defense give up a huge drive. And the momentum is just absolutely decimated. So I want to ask you that question because it feels like the situation in New Orleans has just been so frustrating. There's been a lack of complementary football. Do you think that that's been a theme in Seattle?
Well, that's why you got rid of the last offensive coordinator. Was that Ryan Grubb basically that offense? You scored quickly or you went 3 and out quickly. So, hey, let's bring in someone who's going to mirror the run game to the pass game, be built more on a play action pass type of system. Sounds like you guys are missing Klint Kubiak right now in New Orleans. And then defensively, you brought in a crazy genius. That's what you did with Mike McDonald. The reason that you didn't go and sign Dan Quinn, who had a lot of success in Seattle, was a part of that staff that won a Super Bowl, should have frickin' won too. The reason that you went with the younger guy was because you trusted him to come in and bring more of this military style to that defense, and that's exactly what he's done. When you look at what this defensive line is doing, Byron Murphy is one of the top guys, if not the top guy right now on PFF when it comes to pressures, and you're getting that from your nose guard. In a 3-4 defense, that doesn't freaking happen. Not even to mention that you've got Leonard Williams flying around, Big Cat's making huge plays. DeMarcus Lawrence, I think, is having maybe the quietest, best season as an edge rusher because he isn't getting the sacks. Like, you've got 2 guys right now on your edges in New Orleans. They're making great plays. The Granderson kid and Cam Jordan, obviously veteran in the NFL. There's a reason why he's played for so long. They're going out and they're getting sacks. DeMarcus Lawrence isn't doing that, but what he is doing is he's winning a lot of one-on-one run blocking matchups, so teams aren't able to get onto the outside of him. When you look at the secondary, as good as they've been, and I agree with ESPN's Mina Kimes, she came out and said, hey, this defense is elite. I agree. They're not as elite as they will be because you've been missing 2 of your star defensive players, or at least 1 star and 1 guy that I've got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping he's going to be a star in Nicky Manwari. Like, you've played 5 plays with your full, intact, complete secondary. Nicky Manwari goes down very early in that 49ers game, so now you're throwing around different backups. Darian Kendrick was lights out against Pittsburgh, and so he's clearly played himself into a role where he's going to have more opportunities on the field. Had an interception, should have had 2. Unfortunately, I don't know if you know this, Trace, your face mask can't catch a ball. He tried to do that. He had to learn the hard way, and then he got the interception.
You're telling me the plastic face mask, you can't catch a ball? Like, that's crazy.
He tried. It worked in Little Giants. I don't know why it didn't work in this situation. Like, I kind of thought it was going to work.
Absolutely.
Aaron Rodgers throws the ball pretty darn hard.
Yeah.
Maybe it would work out for Darian
You'd
Kendrick.
think it would stick right there.
Right there. Unfortunately, I guess the hole was too small, and it didn't stick in there. So what you've seen from this defense, and Devin Witherspoon obviously being on the injury report, not able to go against Pittsburgh, as well as they've played, and as much as I've been able to bloviate kind of how well they are playing and how elite they are, there's still so much room to grow. But I feel like you kind of have to feel that way with your defense as well. As good as that pass rush is, I've noticed that you've got a key name on your injury report that hasn't really gone the entire regular season.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the injury report for the New Orleans Saints side of things. And you also mentioned you think that the Saints are missing Kellen Moore. I'm going to tell you why I think Kellen Moore actually is doing a good job here in New Orleans, despite what the record says, despite what the numbers are showing you. I think that it's a really interesting time for Saints fans to be watching football, especially considering it's going to be a formidable opponent in the Seattle Seahawks. I'm not going to sit here and say that's an absolute 100% lock for the Saints to lose, but I don't think that this is going to be a game that the Saints end up winning. However, I do think that this is a team that could end up surprising people. I'm going to explain my case here in just one moment, but first we got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the whole wide world, Prize Picks. I use Prize Picks every single weekend, and I told my girlfriend to use Prize Picks because you and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, getting paid happens when you are right. And being right can get you paid. That's why I told Maddie to download the app. And I told her the deal gets even sweeter. If you use code CLNS, you can get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is super easy to use. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. They put their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this season. Now, I'm going to show you the projections that I'm rolling with for this game, and then Ortner, I want to go through yours. I'm going to take Chris Olave finding the end zone once and JSN finding the end zone once. These are both demon picks, meaning the payout is a little bit higher. I've been on a little bit of a cold streak, so I'm trying to cash in a little bit more here. I'm going to take 1 touchdown for Chris Olave, 1 touchdown for JSN. Do you like those picks or do you hate those picks?
I do like those. I might have to take a look at that.
Have to take a look at that. All right, let's take a look at Ortner's picks here. Explain these ones for me.
Yeah, well, it's Jordan Love going up against the Cleveland Browns defense. I think that's going to be more passing yards for Love. Matthew Stafford, boo the Rams. This is strictly
dude, boo the Rams. First of all, we can get along on that.
Yes, we can.
F the Rams. We hate the Rams.
Yes,
on this
we
channel.
can.
Absolutely not.
Less passing yards to 45.5. And then Sam Darnold, sorry.
I don't blame you.
More than 212 passing yards.
I don't blame you for taking those picks because I think those right there are going to help you win some money, Will. If you download the Prize Picks app, you can use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Viewers of Saints Now and Seahawks Today, I encourage you to download the Prize Picks app and use that code CLNS. Reminder, if you do, you will get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. All that information is available in the comments and description of this video. Shout out to Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Alrighty, Ortner, you mentioned that there is a name on the Saints injury report who has not taken the field quite yet. There's actually two who haven't taken the field, one being Trevor Penning. He was a limited participant on Wednesday, but the big name.
Trevor Penning.
Yeah, Trevor Penning. I'm a big fan of his. I like what he can do, but he's got to get back on the field. That's just really frustrating from my side of things. Dylan Radin's on the did not participate list. Tyler Seifuwag on the did not participate list, but the name that really is kind of frustrating as a Saints fan is Chase Young. He is dealing with the calf injury, did not participate. He's hasn't played yet, and it's kind of getting to a point where you have to take into consideration the facts that you're paying him $17 million a year. He's supposed to be your leading edge rusher. He's supposed to be the guy, and he's not on the field. And as somebody who is heavily vouched for player safety, I'm a huge believer in don't rush back to the field, especially early on. Injuries are not worth risking the rest of the season. But you also have to, take a look at the facts that were originally reported. It was initially believed to be a minor injury. It was initially believed to be something that wasn't supposed to keep him off the field. So this is something that's been really frustrating. Carl Granderson, to your point, is actually tied for first in sack production. 3.5 sacks this season so far. He's been playing really good football. I've been very impressed with what he's been able to do. I think Carl Granderson is one of those players that if the New Orleans Saints can continue developing him, continue growing him, he can eventually be a really nice pairing of him and Chase Young, but the problem is Chase Young's got to get on the field. And if Chase Young's not on the field, I think this pass rush is worse because the overall talent level downgrades if he's not on the field. You can say what you want about Chase Young, but he is a talented football player. He's somebody that Klint Kubiak, opposing coordinators, they need to take into consideration. They need to account for. So with Carl Granderson, thank goodness he's playing good football for the Saints, but Chase Young hasn't participated since week 1. He popped up on the injury report as a limited participant on Wednesday. Thursday, downgraded to a DNP, and haven't seen him since, man. It's been really frustrating.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And maybe this is just like my dumb football brain, but when you see someone that's built the way that Chase Young is, with how well he played at Ohio State and, former offensive lineman, that's the type of guy that terrifies me because he can beat me with speed. He can beat me with power. He's stronger than me, right? Like, he is a smart football player. I understand that Chase Young's NFL career probably hasn't gone the way that Chase Young or any of the rest of us really thought his NFL career was going to go after how well he played at Ohio State. If he's able to go, though, in this one, I am worried because now you've got 3 premier pass rushers in the NFL going up against Abe Lucas, who, look, Abe Lucas has played well in my eyes. And it's a tall task to start against Nick Bosa and TJ Watt to start any year, no matter who you are. He's still given up, a couple of big plays. You lost that 49ers game because he left his chest open. Nick Bosa ball rushes you right to the QB. Sam Darnold fumbles. Like, that's what lost you that game. Not, it's not fair for me to say that. I am still going to say it. When you look at the game against Nick Bosa, or against TJ Watt, TJ Watt struggled against Charles Cross. He goes over to Abe Lucas' side. Now, Abe Lucas still won most of those matchups, but at the same time, there's a couple times where he's getting in, making plays on Sam Darnold. When I look at this Saints 5-man front, if there is anyone or any way that this team is going to win, it's because of these horses up in that front 5, right? If your edges are able to get to Sam Darnold and not let him get comfortable, that's where turnovers happen. And in the NFL, when you win the turnover battle, I think the number is 70%. It's right around that mark that you win the football game. That's why you lost to the New York Giants last year. Seahawks fans remember this. You had the blocked kick, and then you turned the ball over a couple times. That was the difference in that game. That's how the New Orleans Saints win this game. You create defensive pressure, and you get turnovers. It's why the turnover battle, it's cliche, but whoever wins that, you're probably going to win the darn football game.
Yeah, and I think that this is a really interesting matchup from the turnover battle side of things and the defense versus the offenses. I mean, Kellen Moore, you said pride of Washington,
Prosser High School.
Prosser
High School.
Washington. Yeah.
Stang.
Kellen Moore, very respected offensive mind, quickly has climbed the coaching rankings. Mike McDonald, smart defensive mind. Like, I think that this could be the clash of two really interesting coaches here because Kellen Moore, for what it's worth, I want to just add some context here. The New Orleans Saints by no means are one of those teams that are going to be making a deep playoff run. They're not one of those squads that's going to be shocking the rest of the National Football League. But I do think that they're a team that's very reminiscent of the Lions in 2021 when Dan Campbell's first year was around. They aren't going to be a team, when you look back, it's going to have a ton of wins and losses, but you're going to look at how the team ranks out and how they're performing in comparison to the rest of the league, and you're like, it's actually not as bad as you think. I mean, right now, they're 20th in yards per game. They are 25th in points per game. They also convert on third down at the 23rd in the National Football League. Touchdowns per game, they're 21st right now. Like, the defense is putting up solid numbers. The offense is putting up solid numbers. Like, it's not anything that's 100% amazing by any means. I'm not going to sit here and say that these two units are the best in the league at anything. Mm-hmm. But they're certainly not the worst at anything. And I think that that's really, really interesting for a first-year head coach who is a smart offensive mind, who is a good football coach, who does have a football IQ that's through the roof. I think you can see this is a team that doesn't keel over when they get hit in the mouth. Traditionally, they have. Mm-hmm. This is a team that doesn't just when you find yourself in a hole, they find themselves in an opportunity to try to dig themselves out of it. And they keep games close. They're scrappy. They have a lot of fight. They have a lot of swagger at this point. I mean, you're starting to see these guys kind of start feeling themselves on the field a little bit. And again, I'm not saying that those are reasons you win or lose games, but I think that context matters here. And I think that the New Orleans Saints are one of those squads that every week we're going to keep seeing maybe they lose, maybe they don't win, but it's going to be one possession loss, 10-point loss. It's going to be keep climbing up those power rankings, but it's not really because you're losing or winning games. It's because it's like, they took 3 games in a row now to one possession games down to the final drive. Like, this is one of those games, if I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm looking forward to it because it's like, all right, we should win. I'm not stressed about losing, but I would be a little bit concerned and be like, all right, you got to go play clean football here because for what it's worth, if I'm you, key to victory for the Seahawks, take it from a Saints fan, let the Saints beat themselves. They are their own worst enemies. Get out of their way and let them just implode because death, taxes, and shooting themselves in the foot. They love to consistently unload the clip on their foot. Any opportunity they get, whether it's penalties and in the most inopportune times, giving up third downs, not converting when you need to, not being able to extend the drives, dropping passes that are hitting you right in the chest. Like, the Saints are their own worst enemies. And so if you're the Seahawks, hate to say it, take a step back and just kind of let them do their thing. It might actually work out in your favor. I'm just going to keep it real with you.
Sounds like you're describing the 2024 Seattle Seahawks, which makes me laugh inside, cry on the outside. I'll say this when it comes to the Saints. I had fun today when we came in and we did our little, who's the worst team? Oh, Saints. I don't think you're the worst team. And not just because I'm hyping up 2A Washington high school football.
Yeah, and by the way, everything I just said, such loser talk. I'm fully aware that that's all loser talk, but I think it's important to address the facts. This is not a game you're going to walk in, be able to throw the practice squad out there, score 30 points and walk home. Like, it's going to be a game you're going to have to play a good match, and you're going to have to play complete football. 4 quarters of good, 3 quarters of good football. You could get away with one bad one. I'm going to be honest.
Well, and here's the thing. You and I had a conversation about this today when we were hanging out pre-show, but in my eyes, it's like, why, as a Saints fan, would you be upset about losses if they're the correct losses? Like, if I look at the Chicago Bears right now, I'm furious. You got boat race. You let J.J. McCarthy, a guy who struggled in his second start, a guy who is essentially a rookie, in the fourth quarter, dominate your defense, which is supposed to be your calling card. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, players only meeting week 1. That's what we're doing here?
Yeah.
That's what championship teams do. Oh, wait, no, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't even have player-only meetings. They just go out and play. Tyreek Hill's freaking out, saying he should get more balls thrown to him. I haven't seen him get open, right? So I listed a couple of teams. There's a couple others that I think you could throw in there as well where I would be more down on myself if I was a fan of those teams. If I was a New Orleans Saints fan, I'd feel pretty good about what I've built? Do you feel like you have a coach who is going to be there for the long haul? He is an offensive genius. He's already been to a Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl. And he's got a bunch of guys that are fighting for him. I understand that it's week 3. It's pretty hard to quit by week 3. Make the argument, the 2 teams I already mentioned, they had some guys quitting. So if I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, you're going to find out if Spencer Rattler's the guy or not. And if he's not, then you'll find out if Tyler Shuck's the guy or not. And you're going to be drafting high. Maybe you make a move on one of these quarterbacks. I understand that Arch Manning hasn't looked great. I understand that Garrett Nussmeier hasn't been awesome. There have been some QBs out there. Sawyer Robertson has looked great. Damon Williams, Dante Moore, those are Washington and Oregon quarterbacks. There are guys that are out there. And if Tyler Shuck becomes the guy or Spencer Rattler becomes the guy, well, now you have the coaching staff in place that can make the move for the next great offensive lineman or can make the move for the next great defensive end or whatever, right? Yeah. Whatever your big need is. Yeah. So maybe I'm just hyping up Kellen Moore because we both played 2A Washington high school football. But
hey, that's where real football is played right there.
Yes, that's right.
That's where real football is played.
Real football is played on former cow pastures. Or in the Tacoma Dome at 8 in the morning on a Saturday because the 3A and 4A games are the prime time games. That's where real football is played and real football players are made. But I've told you this at the beginning. I've told you all week. I feel confident in the Seahawks winning this game. I always do. I'll tell you right now, I'm watching, if I'm the Seahawks and Coach Mike McDonald, I'm watching the film from last year's New York Giants game right before I get on the plane. And it's the first thing I watch on Sunday. I guess not the plane, the bus to the hotel. And then it's the first thing that I'm watching on Sunday because you cannot let a team that is unfortunately going to be a lower tier NFL team beat you at home again.
Well, and one thing that I want to focus in on before we finish up this video, because I think it's important to address it. What are 3 keys to victory from your side of things? I'm going to give mine first so that way you have a chance to think about it. If I'm the New Orleans Saints, based off the conversation we've had and based on everything that I know about the Seahawks, the first thing that the Saints need to do, I'll give you 3 keys to victory. I'm going to dive into my full keys to victory in my preview later on, but either later on / when it's posted. We have 2 previews going out per week nowadays. But the key to victory for me, the first one is limiting the turnovers. Win the turnover battle. Try to force turnovers. Do not give up turnovers because if the Saints can have opportunities to hold on to the football and can capitalize on mistakes on Seattle's end, you may not get a lot of them, but if you can capitalize when you do, that can be an opportunity for you to find points and win this matchup. Another key to victory, it's one that's going to be on the list every week until it is not a problem. Stop being your own worst enemy. Stop shooting yourself in the foot. Stop the self-inflicted wounds. Stop committing stupid penalties. Play clean football. Just play disciplined and detailed, clean football. And the last thing for me is I just want to continue to see the offense put up big plays. I think that there's been some good moments. I think there's been some flashes. I think there's been some momentum that gets sparked but doesn't fully get rolling because there'll be a big play, and then we're going out and having to trot out a field goal unit and then miss. Or we'll have a crazy catch, gets called back because of a penalty. You drive down the field, and then you end up having to punt it. So, I want to see the New Orleans Saints have a couple of big plays because then I think that they can start creating that momentum. I think they can get that swagger, that energy, that juice that they need because I think when the Saints play in tempo, that is where they are the most successful offensively and defensively. It just goes right back to self-inflicted wounds. Stop 3rd down and 10. That's just death taxes and that. For what it's worth, Seahawks fans, if you have a 3rd and 7 or beyond, you're going to get it. If it's 7 or if it's 6 or lower, you're not going to get it. So just pray for 3rd and 7 and higher. That's key to victory for you guys.
I'll make sure to do that. Don't stay on time with the sticks. Make sure you're behind the sticks.
Yes, exactly.
That'll be a great way for victory. Yeah, I think for me in this one, it's going to be you have to win the trench warfare. And that goes for the Seahawks offensive line and defensive line. Offensively, you need to run the football well so that these DNs, Cam Jordan, Granderson, can't pin their ears back and just go after Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's pretty darn good quarterback when he's able to stand in the pocket and deliver throws. We've seen that. And Cooper Kupp has kind of revived himself a little bit after his week 1 performance. JSN's been awesome the whole time. So you need to find a way to run the football well so you can go into that play action pass and not let those defensive ends kind of pin their ears back and get after you. Defensively, I think you need to get after Spencer Rattler. Quarterbacks in the NFL don't like to get hit. They hate to have to run around, try and throw off platform. When you have to throw off platform, that's when inaccuracies come in, and that's where my second key to the game is. It's great turnovers, man. You already have 4 interceptions on the year. You have to find a way to turn over Spencer Rattler and this New Orleans Saints team. I think if you're able to do that early and often, I'm not saying have 5 interceptions or 5 turnovers in a game. That's ludicrous. That's insane. But if you can get a turnover in that first half, especially early in that first quarter, I do think it can get kind of loud in Lumen, and that's when you could see the New Orleans Saints get down on themselves potentially and have an opportunity to just kind of end the game early. Don't let them stick around. Pete Carroll let teams stick around too often, and then you'd have these weird losses to like 5-win Arizona Cardinals team. That's kind of the same thing last year that happened twice with Mike McDonald. Get up early, end it quickly. So somehow I've rounded out a way to get into 3 keys to victory, and I would say get up early, end it. Trench warfare, you got to win the offensive line battles. You got to win the defensive line battles. And then, of course, that's going to lead into more turnovers. Got to find a way to turn over the New Orleans Saints.
Awesome, man. Well, this was a really fun conversation for what it's worth. You mentioned the loudness at the stadium. Kellen Moore yesterday at practice, he talked to media.
Noise.
They said that they were pumping the music, pumping the noise to try to get prepped for that. And for what it's worth, the Superdome can get rocking too when they're winning football games. They're just not doing that. So we'll let other fan bases continue to take over the bottom.
Well, you guys were the first team that caused an earthquake.
Damn right.
That is
damn right.
Well, in Lumen.
I
was going to say
Lumen.
that's the
old.
It was
our. Yeah, it was without us. There is no.
That's right.
There is no Beastquake. Just saying that. Just saying. Anyway, we want you guys to get in the comments section. Share your thoughts. A key to victory. Let us know your score predictions in the comments section as always, and be sure to subscribe to both of these channels. We'll both be live for this watch party. Saints for Seahawks. You go an hour before kickoff, right?
An hour before.
I'm an hour before kickoff. He's an hour before kickoff. My name's Trizzy Trace Girouard for my guy Will Ortner and Loco Lopez on the 1s and 2s. Y'all stay golden. You got a thing? You go 12s?
I'll see you next time.
We'll see you guys later.